Hello everyone, how are we going? Today is the return of Challenger League and we are in Hyderabad for round 6 at this very new street circuit that was made for the Formula E race just a couple of months ago, but now we're racing on it on the virtual side in UR2D. Now we've got 19 drivers taking the track for our sprint qualifying today. We're going to see bunch mostly just drivers that we've come accustomed to throughout the first half of the season, and we'll see if someone can make a big step forward as we start the second half of this season. We've got Kalitka coming over the line, but it's going to be Charge JT actually taking pole position for the sprint with a 4/10 gap to Kubo. Really impressive stuff there. Of course, can be a lot of gaps between the drivers as a rain situation. Only one lap to set your time. But it's Kubo on the front row alongside Charge JT. That we've got Kraft in P3, followed by, I stole these words, Tomatoes and Razim will take the third row of the grid, followed by Kalitka and Matimar, both drivers who performed quite well in JL today. Matimar, of course, getting that win earlier. Gwetsley in P9, followed by Priya in P10. Then we're coming down. We've got the lockout of the 6th row of the grid for Volpioka Rams ahead of Game Mongoose. Then we've got Dr. Known, Kiato and Urist, 14th and 15th. Redacted on his CL debut, if I believe that's the case. Then we've got Joe Porsche, Mr. Crunk, and Kato, surprisingly, at the bottom of the results. Of course, that can happen sometimes when it comes to sprint qualifying.
Check if you have 19 seconds countdown.
Yeah, I do. Which position was Kalitka?
Kalitka is P7.
P7, yeah.
So yeah, it must have been, especially the gap between Kronk and Kato. I think Kato must have made several mistakes there, but that's
Maybe
all
he
good.
didn't practice as much.
Yeah, that's all right. As we head into it, 5 red lights are out, and we are underway for the sprint. Seems like most drivers have got away fairly well. Charge JT still leading the pack here. Kalitka making moves just in the back now. He's into 6th as we head into the hairpin for the first time. Priya's already out of the race. Charge JT has made a good start, but Tomatoes has pulled up into Q2. Isto has gone into the barrier. Got a bunch of cars back there just having all sorts of trouble as we head into this big chicane at the back of the lap. But go back to the front, and it's Charge JT leading us off, but it's Kalitka in P2, followed by Kraft, and Kubo is all the way back in P7 now.
Very chaotic start.
Very chaotic start, but it looks like Charge JT has gotten away well, and he's gotten a bit of a lead to him now, but it's a huge pack of cars right behind. Kalitka is heading them off, but he's made a big mistake. They're going into the wall. It's so hard to avoid, especially in these pack races that we've got. Cars going back and forth and sliding in the wet conditions, but it looks like Kraft has gotten a bit of a getaway as well as he heads into P2. Tomatoes in P3 now. Very tight. And big story is Kubo is now biding his time in P8 now, so it's going to be hard to see if he can manage anything more than that. Our championship leader at the moment. Big contact! Huge shove there. Matimar falling behind. Tomatoes falling behind. What has happened to those cars? It's given Kalitka back P2, and Isto is now into the podium positions, but it's Razim and Kubo fighting alongside. Kubo goes a little bit inside into that last chicane there, and Charge JT has also set the fastest lap of the race so far.
Oh god, he got pushed there on the chicane.
Oh dear lord. Big push. At the moment, let's go a little bit further back. Ooh. Yeah, Tomatoes falling down, Matimar falling down the pack. We'll go a little bit further back. Kubo now in P9 out of the points. As there's a big collision back there. Let's go back. It's Redacted and Kraft. Kraft is all the way back in 16th. I'm not sure what happened there, but he's fallen all the way back to the ends of the field, actually. That's quite incredible. We'll go back to the mid-pack at the moment. Got Kubo and Matima fighting off as they head into the hairpin. Massive lines going back. Goose has gotten past at least 3 cars there. Oh, massive shove there, Isto. It's just, you can't avoid the contact with these cars. Matima slowing down. Kato getting into the rough end of that chicane. But it's Rams who's pulling out through the chaos. He's now into P5. We'll go back to the leader at the moment. It's a 4-second gap for Charge JT ahead of Razim now. And it's looking like absolute smooth sailing as we only just now reaching the halfway point of this chaotic sprint race. What do you think about that, Nuno?
Yeah, as you said, it's just pure chaos the entire time. Charge JT luckily managed to get away, and just I think for him just a matter of bringing it home. And Razim was alone in second. Peleti was in that position for quite a lot of time, but yeah, Kubo in the meantime he's certainly been struggling a lot with a lot of crashes, and he might be with a lot of stress potentially because of all of that.
Might be a lot of potential. Ooh, there's a potential. Ooh, massive shot, massive hit there between Kubo and Rams. That's completely shot both of their momentums, and it's given Kalitka a bit of space in P4. Tomatoes, however, is right in front of him, heading that potential fight for the podium. But it's Isto and the 2 Riker Autos at the moment fighting for P5. Wetzley puts in his fastest lap. No, but Dr. Known actually puts in the fastest lap of the race so far, and he's in a P12 actually. In the slip, I'm assuming, of Eurus there. Dr. Known, oh, a lot of cars going super inside. Dr. Known tries to get past. Ooh. Looks like he's made a big shove onto Joe Portion, going super wide into that corner as well. Oh, it's all going off here in Hyderabad. But the moment, the gap to the leader, 5 seconds between first and second now. Charge JT able to really flex his muscles as he reclaims fastest lap with a 30.7. Oh, quite interesting here. And we're going back. We've got Kato and Rams fighting for P9, but they've also got to realize this fight doesn't have too much going on in terms of stakes because the points are just up ahead. Matima holding P8, of course. Wetzley in front of him. Championship leader Kubo in P5, but the big story is Kraft having to make that recovery drive. Is currently in 13th, just a bit back there, behind his teammate, behind everyone it feels like, as we've got the 2 Bobcat drivers just having a friendly spar in P10 and 11 and 12, sorry. Yeah, sorry to miss that. I think Mr. Crunk is headed into the pits. And I believe that will be his race ended as well. So a second DNF for today's sprint race. We've got Charge JT heading up the penultimate lap. There's not too much time left to go in this race. We're going to head back to our mid-pack at the moment. Kubo heading it up in P4. But it's a big train. And really, with any big collision... Oh, Gwetzley's lost a few positions there, just as I speak. As Charge JT will start the final lap of the race here. We've got a massive pack for P4 and a massive pack back there in P10. Just back. Just over here, this massive train of cars going back to P1. Charge JT halfway through the lap. It's been an absolute dominant performance. Haven't noticed, though, that Rams has actually taken the fastest lap right off him, so he will not get maximum points for this race. But he will go through the final chicane, and he wins the sprint race here in Hyderabad quite comfortably. We're going back to P2. Razim looks comfortable in P2, and P3 Tomatoes looks like to finish rounding out the final podium position. Kubo is going to end up heading the pack in P4, followed by Rams, Isto, and Kalitka. Wetzley will take P8 in the final points playing position. Then it's Matima, Kato, Eurus and Kiato. Oh, everyone's piling in now as the race has come to a conclusion quite quickly. Wow. So, in the end, it'll be Charge JT taking the victory in the rainy streets of Hyderabad. Razim and Tomatoes will join him on the podium. Quite good result for all 3 drivers there. Kubo, I think his first time not being on the podium this season. A P4 result after having a lot of trouble with the MIG pack. Rams with an impressive P5 on his return with the fastest lap. Isto holding up P6, followed by Kalitka and Gwetzley, who will take the final point today. Matimar, a bit unlucky there, finishing ninth. Just, what is that? 8 tenths back from... No, 7 tenths back from Wetzley. Then we've got Cato finishing in P10. The Bobcats finishing 2/100ths of each other in 11th and 12th. Urist ahead of his teammate Kiato. Then in 13th, we've got Dr. Known and Kraft also piling in quite quickly with Joe Porsche in 15th. Redacted, our final finisher in 16th place, just 23 seconds behind the leader. Game on Goose, sorry, also finished as well. 25.74 seconds behind the leader. And Mr. Crunk and Priya are DNS for the day. Priya out on lap 1. Mr. Crunk heading into the pits around lap 8 or so after struggle performance there. Well, that was very, very interesting. Very chaotic race. And I'm hoping we can only see more in the feature race in dry conditions. Potentially more calamity going on in that race. Especially because we did see that Kraft was the biggest loser in terms of the collisions and the interactions with the drivers today. Because he was fighting for that podium position before that, I think, half a lap where he just completely fell down the order. I'm not too sure what happened there. Could have potentially been some form of lab rocket. But that only makes you consider, maybe intrigued, on what could happen next. Could Kuboni next, perhaps? Charge JT, who's been flying for the past round and a half now, could potentially be him as well. You can never quite know, especially on these tight street circuits.
Yeah, Kubo really struggled on this first race, and considering that it was just a sprint, like there was no strategy and there's nothing he could do apart from actually passing the people on the track, which is really hard to do, as it seems.
Oh,
now we are racing in Mexico for some reason.
Okay. Okay, sure. Okay.
It would be the same, like it's chaotic as well.
Yeah, it would be. Just go from one chaotic track to the next. How many laps? We've got 31 laps of our lovely circuit here.
Uh-oh, click it down. Oh, okay, never mind.
But that was,
I'm not in the lobby, Auntie, I'm not...
He's not. Fun fact, that was Kalitka's first points finish. Outside of the fastest lap they got in round 4. Interesting. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for our feature race qualifying. So we've already seen quite the mess of a sprint race in the first leg of our trip to India. And for this time round, we potentially should see more strategy battles and more fighting between drivers on alternate tyres. And we're gonna see just how much that could affect some of these battles around these precarious corners on the street circuit in Hyderabad. So we pull in for the first lap of our qualifying, and it's Kraft who leads us off with a 29.57, quite comfortably on the soft tyres, but it's only a 1/100th gap to Isto and Cato behind 2 tenths back. Half the grid passing the 30-second mark, which is always nice to see. Some drivers will be wanting to make a better show of their second lap down the road. Got a bit of changes. I think we've seen Cato go up. I think definitely saw Urist go up to a 30 flat, but it's still Kraft and Isto holding on to the top 2. Charge JT pulling into P3 now. I'm going to see any pressure on Kubo, who's currently sitting in P8. Matimar in P7. Both Riker autos looking strong. Rams could potentially do something from P12. Could he potentially improve on that as well? Gonna see last finishes. And it's actually gonna be Razim tying Kraft on the pole. Oh, wow. Oh, and Urist also improved to a 2960. We've got our top 5 separated by just 3 hundredths. That is quite incredible. So, either way, Razim and Kraft tied on a 29.57. I'm not sure who's going to... I believe it should be Kraft on pole position, given he did put in that time first. But otherwise, good result for the both of them. Isto will hold on to P3 with a 29.58, just 100th away from a 3-way tie. Urist and Charge JT tying on a 29.60. I believe Charge JT took that time first, so he should take 4th over Urist. Then we've got Rams in P6, Kato P7, and Dr. Known in P8. I think we're missing someone, because Kiato and Matimar actually complete the top 10. So we move into 11th, and the 2 Riker autos are 11th and 12th, tied together on a 29.90. I believe Gwetzley also put that time in first, so Kubo might be starting from P12, which will be quite the challenge for him to recover from. And same goes for Gwetzley. Joe Porsche in P13, followed by Tomatoes, who will have to do it the hard way from 14th on the grid after a pretty impressive showing in the sprint. Then we've got 15th Kalitka and Game Mongoose tied on a 30.02. And then we've got Redacted and Mr. Crunk rounding the grid.
Before we ready up, I wonder if we could take these qualifying results and do a new lobby too. So maybe Palm Bro Izia can join. Because there's the bug where it says it's full, but there's only 18 people racing, so Palm can join the race if he wants.
There is 20 people in the lobby.
What? Who do you want to join?
There's 20.
It's the new guy, the Palm, like...
I'm not sure.
Is there 20 people in the lobby?
lobby.
20 people in the lobby?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Like, because there's only 18, like, should be 19.
There's 20.
There's 20.
Okay, so Priya was...
Priya. Okay, yeah, maybe, but the issue is that Priya...
was Priya
she was
spectating?
teleporting a lot, she was having a lot of issues.
But was she... why wasn't she in the quali?
Breed's not coming back.
Why there's only 18 people we qualified then? Should be 19.
In person.
Yeah, because Priya left.
As that's in the thing. That's why.
Okay, so
good.
one team is probably missing a driver. Which
No,
team?
as that's supposed to be here as an independent, we're fine.
You're
We can
fine.
race.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
No, the thing is that
No,
there
but we
was
have
a
18
bug with...
people.
We have
Yeah,
we have 19 drivers now.
19.
No, they're in the lobby. They're here. It's Azam.
Oh, as
Oh
it's,
right, we have
Yeah.
it's
We're
a
all
full
good.
lobby. Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, then
Okay.
someone was spectating in the quali.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, let's go.
No, not you, another one, like...
Azam missed the quality, that's why.
Okay. Anyways,
Very weird.
yeah, we're gonna see a few more drivers coming in. So Eurus does start P4. We've got our tyres changed up now. It's 5 red lights and away we go. Most of the cast have gone on to the soft tyres. Razim gets off to a flyer, and so does Urist, getting right past Isto at the jump. And we're heading into the first hairpin now. It's a big mess of cars, and Razim takes the lead. Big move there. Urist gets into the podium, takes place of Charge, and it's Rams making moves. It's Matimar making moves. Big contact coming in. The Riker's getting in the mix. Isto has fallen well back behind. Rams has as well, and the Volpioyokas are at the very back of the grid. Tomatoes going sideways onto the front stretch. What is going on? Oh, another big shove. Kiato's fallen behind as well. But it's going to be Razim and Kraft fighting top 2 at the moment. Urist in P3. Charged in 4th, then Matimar on the mediums will hold on to P5 at the moment. Everyone's going sideways as we go through the middle sector again. Oh my goodness. It's absolute chaos here in Hyderabad. But it looks like the front 2 have gone on. Oh, Rams and Joe Porsche just can't get past each other. They're just shoving into one another like crazy. Alright, so 2.5 laps in. Kato making a bit of an error there. Dr. Known getting past on those hard tyres. It'd be interesting to see what the drivers on the alternate strategy do, because everyone, or by everyone, I feel about, how much is that? 13 of our drivers on the soft tyres. Oh, the Volpiaco's going both into the inside of the hip, inside into the chicane there, sorry, right at the end of the lap. But we'll return to our front leaders, and it is Kraft in front of Razim as they head in. They're just on the slip now. Razim maybe falling a little bit behind as he's trying to take alternate lines, trying not to get too close to Kraft to try and perhaps avoid any trouble. Behind them, Charge JT and Kubo, who's made a miraculous start from P12 on the grid to now be just less than 2 seconds back from the lead now. Matimar also in that fight, going really wide, forcing Kubo wide as he takes P4, and he's going to be in a very interesting position on those mediums later.
Yeah, Kubo had a really amazing start. I saw on the stream, like him just getting some places out of nowhere, and it's very crucial for him who's starting outside the top 10, but now Matimar really not taking it easy for him.
He's trying to make that move onto the first corner, and Matimar maybe it's a bit of the wall, but Kubo is past. Guetzli also following in P6. Urist has actually fallen back to P7. I'm not too sure what happened there, but he is still in the hunt for the front runners. Kato is our highest placing hards runner now, so we'll see how long those tyres can last compared to the rest of the field as we enter lap 7 now. Game Mongoose heading, Dr. Known, Kiato, and Tomatoes in that stretch. All drivers fighting for P9 at the moment, but everyone's trying to behave a bit more, trying to keep on Game Mongoose's slip. Kiato goes into the inside though, so it's a bit of drama into the hairpin, and we get another little battle. Tomatoes finding a gap there. Kiato goes wide and he's lost some time there. And so is Tomatoes hitting the wall. Oh, quite terrible. And we actually have our first pit stop. I believe that is Razim heading into the pits now. So it'll be interesting to see where it comes out. Urist and Game Mongoose will also follow him in. And Razim is on the hards to start us off for our first pit stops. Tomatoes goes really deep into the inside and is going to lose that position again. Going to go back to the front now, and Kraft, can he make some extra time on that extra lap on the soft tyres? They're quite worn out. Matimar going on. Guetzli not pitting, surprisingly enough. Kraft is going on for another set of softs, and it looks like he is well past Razim on the overcut, and it's worked out. Charge JT also passed. Razim is now having to fight with Kubo on harder tyres, and it's really not going to help him there. Quite interesting, actually, that the overcut actually was the play there in that little exchange of the pit stops. Kato in that mix now on the hards, and Matimar still hasn't stopped. Guetzli just in now. See, a lot of the drivers are stretching now. We're going to go back to this little fight between Rams and Urist. See, about 3 or 4 cars just behind of Guetzli, who has stopped. Rams has stopped as well. Urist has also stopped, but he's on the harder tyres. So we're going to see really how the strategy is split up and where each driver can find pace. And Azat is trying to also make a move on Rams, but he's also on super worn out hard tyres. Is on his 11th lap on those as he will be looking to pit soon. Speaking of looking to pit, we've got Kato in P3 at the moment, still on those initial set of hards. What do you think about this, Nuno?
I mean, Kato on the hards, I was a bit distracted for a bit, but
he's missed the pit entry!
Oh, we crashed there.
He's missed the pit entry, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. Goes on to a second set of hards. I believe he's trying to make this a 2-stopper.
Yeah, it might be. I guess that's always often has been, like, people going for either the 3-stopper and or the 2-stopper, and it seems like a lot maybe going for the 2-stopper. I believe maybe Charge, Graf, and Kubo. Well, I think all pitted on lap 8, so that's what they investing on, because there's a lot of big straights and stuff, and and I believe that's why they go
Yeah,
for free stuff.
a lot of time for the softs to really push their advantage, as we have Dr. Known into the pits now off of those hard tyres as well. Everyone's made at least one pit stop now, but it's yeah, a very different grid to what we started with. Charge JT is now leading us off just in front of Kraft. I'm not sure, he must have definitely made that move a couple of corners ago, and he's definitely made up a lot of time on Kraft this stint. He's also got the fastest lap on top of that. And in third place now is Kubo, who is tugging Razim's hard tyres along. So good to see that drivers can behave on this track, though Razim is really trying to ensure that he doesn't make any extra mistakes and potentially loses out in the slipstream. But they still have a big gap to the top two at the moment. Kubo's tyres also dying out as we enter lap 15 for the two of them. Behind them is Gwetsley, who is on fresher tyres than everyone in front of him. But he's got a big gap to the front. I believe he's almost a full pit stop behind Charged, so we'll see if any extra pace can come up from that. Then Matimar, who is going on the mediums once more. He's going to see if potentially goes for maybe two softs to finish the race, or potentially a hard stint to end it out. He's looking pretty good at the moment, as we have Kubo going in for a third set of softs, actually. There we go. So he'll be looking to go one more stop till the end. So he's on a similar strategy to Matimar, but also on a similar strategy to potentially Razim in front of him. So he'll want to be able to make quick work of Matimar and try to get to Razim as fast as possible. We actually have the leaders pitting at the same time. Charge JT just getting ahead of Kraft in the pits once more. So the lead hasn't much changed, but Razim is actually pulled in front of them on those hard tyres. We'll see if that gamble was paid off soon enough. Razim may be having the shot to slip these two as opposed to slipping Kubo. He's, let's just say, this strategy might be pulling out dividends for him if he can potentially stretch the hards out and avoid going in for an extra stop. Quite.
Razim can stick behind. He was, I think, trying to hold them up a little bit, or just take his time to let them pass, because I think doing that into wiggles could have been dangerous. So now it seems like he doesn't really have the grip to stay behind them now.
We'll see if he can manage it, but he was also hoping for Charge JT and Kraft to fight a little bit more, and that's not what they're doing at the moment. Going to go further back into the grid. We've got Urist heading up a group of tires in P6. He's a long way back from the leaders, but it's him and Kato on the hard tyres, and they're both quite worn out, actually. So we'll see if they maybe, they might try to stretch it a little bit long and go for one more stop on the hards to finish the race. Behind them, though, is Gwetsley in P8, sorry, and Rams behind him. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, a little bit of a lag situation there. Rams getting pushed onto the outside. Gwetsley and Rams fighting here, and it's really not helping either of their pace at the moment. As they're trying to catch these two hard runners in front of them, and it's just not turning out. Speaking of turning out, Razim has gone in for the hard, so he'll be looking to stretch those tyres for 12 laps to the end.
Yeah, two stops strategy for him then.
Just a little bit of battling here.
Not sure about the win, but I think the podium might be possible with that strategy.
Oh, it could be. I mean, Razim is definitely on the cards for that podium. Speaking of people on the cards, Eurus making a big dive into the pit lane there. Matimar coming out just behind this group of cars, and so does... sorry, no. Wrong person. Let me go back to P10, because Isto is actually sitting there. Eurus has come out behind him. He's on the mediums, actually, which is an interesting decision there. He's going to try and stretch the mediums instead of the hards, and it's already working out, seeing he's got the position on Isto quite comfortably and gotten into P10. Game Mongoose, you'd assume, has one more stop. So does Isto. So it shouldn't be too much of a bother to see these guys paving the way for Eurus there. We'll go back to the front because it is still a neck-and-neck battle between Kraft and Charge JT. They are still so tight. They've been tight for the past 10, 12 laps now. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do in terms of tyre strategy, because they did both go into the pits at the same time. So there is the case that they both go in at the same time once more and have a straight fight out for the win here. We go back. There's a full pit stop gap between these two and Kubo, who's sitting in P3 now. So, oh, Charge JT's gone for the surprise undercut there. Completely caught Kraft unawares. So, on these softs, can he pull some time on this undercut, or will Kraft alone?
If he's faster, I think that may have been the best choice to get rid of Kraft. But if Kraft has the pace, then he has the advantage.
Yeah, it really just depends on what he.
Very interesting.
Really just depends on what goes on here. Got Kubo also into the pits at the same lap as well, so Kraft is going to head in. Try not to lose too much time on that pit entry. It's going to be interesting. Charge JT just heading onto the front stretch now, and it looks like the undercut has just paid off. He's gained a little bit of time on Kraft, but Kraft will have the faster tyres for these remaining six laps to go. Speaking of catching drivers, though, we've got Kubo, who's just put on his last set of softs, and he's a second and a half back from Razim, who is now sitting onto P3. So it's all onto his pace now, if he can make that move before the tyres die, of course. But right behind him, actually, it's Matimar in P5. Pretty impressive race from him. Of course, our JL winner just a few moments ago, but he's looking pretty good for a top 5 finish now. He's got a big gap on Kato, who's actually in a massive pack of cars here. All fighting for P6 now. Gwetzley on the softs will try to, use that tyre advantage to get through these drivers, but it's just not looking too good for him at the moment. He's getting on the inside, though. He's getting his elbows out, and he's gotten through quite nicely there. It's all on Urus going wide there. Maybe the mediums might not have been the best pick for his last stint. They will be aging a lot faster than the hards that Rams is on right now. But Gwetzley has once again fallen back into this group, so it's really overplay. Rams going wide there. But at the moment at the front though, it's Charge JT, and he has actually pulled the gap on Kraft in the past few laps, and it's looking like is going to be another race win for him. It's quite impressive. It's going to be 4 on the trot for him taking this race, and it's going to actually put serious questions onto if Kubo can hold on to the lead of the championship too long. It is a big points gap. But if he's racing as dominant as he is at the moment in CL, then it'll really put a lot of questions onto if Kubo can keep that lead as big as it is at the moment. Speaking of Kubo, though, he has gotten into P3 now, so he's looking to finish on a high, potentially get that podium, and maybe keep up that in that regard to Charge, though he should be more than fine, even with his 2 main rivals in the championship in front of him at this race. Though he's a full stop behind Kraft, so if Kraft really wants to try for... it'd be hard to go for fastest lap, because a lot of these times yeah, I mean, Charge JT has just been so fast lately. He's been so consistent as well. So we head into that last lap, and actually Kraft has gotten a little bit of time back on him as we head into the final lap of the race. A lot of lap traffic here. We're going to go back. We've still got Kato and Gwetzley fighting it out for P6. Gwetzley going a little bit wide. But we're going to go back to Charge JT. We're pulling through the final few turns. It's been a tremendous race for him. He started on the front row. He's converted it into a race win for both the sprint and the feature. Kraft will finish in P2 with a very, very strong performance. The two drivers top of the class today. Kubo will round out the podium with a solid finish. Razim in P4 with the alternate strategy. Matimar, a solid result with P5. Quite lovely on his end. Kato and Gwetsley will follow in that order. Then it's all really tight finish. Rams has actually gotten past Urist by 300ths. And Dr. Known takes the final point in P10. Quite the interesting race. Lots of different strategy options. Everyone going for 2 and 3 stop strategies, but the timing of each of them were quite different. It was a very open-ended race, all things considered. So that should be
There'll be some interesting information for the UL later on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Seeing every tire being used.
So there we go. Race over. Charge JT is your victor once again. This time taking fastest lap, so that is a full 26 points onto his record for this race. Kraft has been quite the stern challenger all race long. To be only 2 seconds back at the end. He was so fast, but just wasn't able to keep up to the very, very fast VPT driver. It's a lot of points P2 pays him. And it's Kubo in P3, a solid 10 seconds back there. Had a lot of struggles in the start, but yeah, especially given the qualifying position, it's going to be a lot of a damage recovery for him. Razim in P4, making the alternate strategy work out. The hards maybe was the difference in him not getting a podium, but it still allowed him to avoid trouble and get that P4. Matimar, our JL winner earlier, has really impressed today, I think. He's done a solid job in both races, and he'll take P5 with both hands. Kato and Gwetsley in P6 and 7 fighting it out to the very end. Those two, despite the alternate strategies, were really close the whole race. And speaking of close the whole race, Rams, Urist and Dr. Known finishing within 3/10ths of one another. The Volpioka just ahead of the Bobcat in the second VPT. That will be the points paying positions for today. Isto in P11, not the greatest race for him. It was a very terrible start, especially around lap 2. He really fell down the order and wasn't able to completely recover from there. Kyoto, respectable race in P12. Tomatoes in P13, wasn't quite able to climb the grid as fast as they wanted. Then we've got the Scuderia Carmona drivers, Redacted and Kalitka, 14 and 15th. Then we've got Game Mongoose, Joe Porsche, and Azat, followed by Mr. Crunk rounding the field. And there we have it. That was your Indian C-Prix. Hope you had a wonderful time. It's been quite interesting to see such a tight street circuit navigated by these drivers. But we'll come back to you next race in Okayama. So the Asian rounds will continue. We're going to see another of Jarini's tracks on offer. And it's a very different flavour compared to what we have today. So we'll see you next time for that.